Good evening and thank you for joining us. The long-awaited inquest into the deaths of Donald Mamakwa and Roland McKay has begun here in Thunder Bay.
The two men both died in the lockup cells at the city police headquarters after going into medical distress. The inquest, which will examine the circumstances surrounding their deaths, will take place over 17 days with more than 30 called witnesses. Mitchell Ringos has more.
44-year-old Don Mamakwa died in August of 2014, while 50-year-old Roland McKay died in July of 2017. Both men had been arrested on allegations of public intoxication and later died in their holding cells at the Thunder Bay Police Station when they lost vital signs related to medical illness. Under the Coroner's Act, this inquest is mandatory because the two men died while in police custody. The inquest jury will examine the circumstances surrounding the two deaths and make recommendations aimed at preventing similar tragedies. For the first day, an overview was given by inquest counsel Peter Keane, explaining what to expect, and said in an opening statement that the inquest jury will hear evidence that Mamakwa was not meaningfully medically assessed and that he would have had a 97% chance of survival if he would have been taken to the hospital. And followed by saying that the evidence will also show that McKay would have had a better chance at surviving in hospital rather than in the jail cell where he died. Video and audio was shown on the first day, showing the 911 initial call and the booking process. And in the days to follow, due to a ruling made by Dr. David Cameron, a video will be shown of a different Indigenous man being dragged through the police lockup area on the night Mamakwa died, which Keane said will show how Indigenous people who appear to be intoxicated were treated in Thunder Bay that night. Mitchell Ringos, TBT News.
The Thunder Bay Police Services Board will not be including a capital budget estimate for a new police headquarters in its 2023 capital budget submission later this fall. Instead, the board will wait for a Phase 1 design study to be completed. That was one of the topics discussed at the Police Board's monthly meeting this morning, which took place a week earlier than normally scheduled. Secretary John Hannam also provided a variance report, which shows the board is $300,000 over its budget due to high legal fees.
The 2022 municipal election is the first to be held under a new Thunder Bay bylaw that regulates the placement of candidates' campaign signs. And so far, the city has received only a few complaints about potential violations. City bylaw enforcement manager Doug Vincent says, quote, sign pollution has been reduced significantly as a result of the ban on campaign signs on any public property, including boulevards, and on any private property without consent. The new bylaw also restricts the size of signs as well as the number of signs allowed on each lot. Vincent says formal complaints are investigated and dealt with by educating the candidates. Some people have called in to complain about the size of someone's sign, but so far everyone they've checked has been in compliance with the rules. There have also been some cases where too many signs have been erected on a commercial property. The bylaw allows up to 3 signs on each private lot, but only 1 per candidate for every 500 meters of commercial or industrial property frontage with permission.
Tonight, we wrap up our look at the ward candidates running in the Thunder Bay municipal election by focusing on the people vying for the council seat in Red River. Vasilios Bellos reports.
With current Red River Councillor Brian McKinnon announcing he won't seek re-election, it'll be a new face representing the ward. Lifelong resident Brad Ford hopes to fill that void. He's been in the automotive sector for more than a decade, building relationships with businesses along the way.
I'm young, I'm new to the game, but I've stepped up in the past, represented those that have actually needed that voice. And I feel that the constituents of Red River Ward would do well having someone like me in their corner who's not afraid to stand up.
Newcomer Martin Rukavina is hoping for the Red River vote and has spent time implementing socio-economic projects on the Ring of Fire and working with Indigenous partners to transform health and human services.
I'm very participatory in terms of how I believe government should work. I listen to everyone, and I make sure that the feedback that I'm getting from people, I'm acting on. And I think those are key skills and behaviors that a councillor should have. And I also think that we just need to make sure that we're involving the younger generation.
Kathy Sutari is also on the Red River ballot and ran for the New Blue Party in the past provincial election. Sutari believes she's the best option as she'll bring the voice back to the people.
I love people. I want to see my people in my riding be the voice of of what's going on in this city. We have lost that that option in this city. The people are not the voice anymore.
Jason Veltri is making his first political run and is already known as the president of the Rainbow Collective. A passionate human rights activist, Veltri believes he's ready to represent Red River.
I've been involved in enough to know that what I can and can't do, how to read an agenda, how to move motions. I believe I'm the right candidate to move forward and hit the ground running on day one, because there's a lot of issues that are piling up, and we need action on it.
Also seeking the Red River chair is Michael Zucino, who's lived in Thunder Bay his whole life. He's an educator with the Catholic Board and a regular volunteer at the Dewdrop Inn. Zucino believes these experiences make him ready to represent the ward.
Because I'm organized, I'm a team player, I like working with others, and I like progress. I think we need to do things. Not talk about things, but actually do things. And there's stuff I'd like to see pushed along in terms of agenda in our city, and hopefully I can help push it along.
James Dean Marsh is on the ballot, but is not seeking election, as he didn't pull out of the race in time. Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
And tomorrow we'll move to the at-large race, which features 24 candidates running for those 5 seats on City Council.
A pair of busy roadways in the city are closed for construction this week. Main Street has been shut down to all traffic between Fort William Road and Hammond Avenue to allow for the installation of city waterworks. Drivers are required to detour using the Central Avenue overpass and Maureen Street for access to Hammond Avenue. The work is scheduled to wrap up by this Friday. Meanwhile, on the western edge of the city, 20th Side Road is now closed between Arthur Street and Roslyn Road for CP Rail to carry out track maintenance. Local traffic will be permitted, but all others will be forced to use Fairview Avenue and Trotter Road as detours. That project is also expected to be completed on Friday.
As of today, people who are working remotely in Ontario will be able to find out if they're being monitored by their employer. Under new legislation, companies with 25 or more employees will be required to have a written electronic monitoring policy in place. The policy will need to contain information on whether employees are being electronically monitored. That information will have to be disclosed within 30 days.
Where this policy really helps employees is it just creates that level of transparency. So this legislation is not intended to limit an employer's ability to monitor or enhance an employee's right to privacy. But what it does do is it outlines all of the circumstances in which an employer does in fact monitor. And I think that's the important part for employees and employers to understand here, is there isn't an enhancement through this legislation and there isn't a limitation for employers as it relates to monitoring.
COVID hospitalizations in the province are at a 2-month high. The rise in the number of cases is approaching the peak of the summer wave. Dr. Isaac Bogosh, an infectious disease specialist at Toronto General Hospital, says that's to be expected in the fall.
We know there's a seasonal component to this virus. To no one's surprise, there's a rise in cases in the fall, as we've been talking about for months and months and months. And if we take a step back too and look at some of the metrics that we have in Ontario, even though we don't have a ton of these metrics available, there are still some available. We know that the testing is consistent and the percentage of tests that are positive is going up. We know that wastewater surveillance signs are going up in many parts of the province. And in fact, if you look at Canada, there is a real rise in hospitalizations related to COVID.
There are 29 COVID patients in our hospital here, including 2 in the ICU. On Friday, Health Canada approved the use of the Pfizer booster vaccine that targets the BA4 and BA5 strains of the Omicron variant. The bivalent booster has already been given to nearly 5 million people in the U.S.
The Thunder Bay Regional Hospital recently unveiled a new mural created by a local Ojibwe artist. The 10 by 10 foot masterpiece will welcome patients, families, and visitors into the hospital's cafeteria. Mural creator Ryan Puman is a tattoo artist from Fort William First Nation. He painted the vibrant, colorful image to showcase traditional Indigenous foods and animals from Northern Ontario, notably the moose on land and the fish in the water.
I was doing art before I was tattooing, and then I've been tattooing for 10 years, and just recently in the last 3 or 4 years, I've really got back into painting and making art on the side and stuff. So then I guess just people have seen my art and just opportunities have just come, and it's great.
We're really looking to try to bring in what is Indigenous art and culture into our Health Sciences Center and really create more safety and more familiarity and more welcoming and warmth. A place in our strategic plan, we talk about a place where we all belong. So creating that familiarity within our environment for people.
Crocker Ellicott adds that the hospital is planning to add more artwork to its walls to continue creating a warm and welcoming space.
Thunder Bay Superior North MP Patty Haidu has announced that applications are now open for her 7th annual Constituency Youth Council. She stopped by Hammarskjöld High School today as part of her multi-school tour to launch the application process. Jessa Clement has the details.
Patty Haidu spoke to the grade 9 to 12 students from Hammarskjöld about the program and the benefits that can come from being on the Youth Council. She also answered any questions they had. The age range is from 14 to 22 and will give youth the opportunity to come together and inform federal politicians what issues they're facing. This will be the Youth Council's 7th year, and Haidu says they will tackle different issues.
It's always diverse. We do sometimes have people who come back for a number of years while they're students. That's always nice as well because they have some familiarity with Youth Council. But again, this is a real opportunity for people to take part in their political system and to directly speak to a federal politician about issues that are important to them and to the region. It's also an opportunity for people to learn new skills and make new relationships.
The Youth Council will meet once a month to discuss different topics they're interested in, including affordability, climate change, and mental health. Rachel Tribe was part of the Youth Council over the last couple of years. She says she'll be reapplying to the program again this year.
There are a lot of different fun things about the Youth Council, so I really enjoy that my voice is heard through the Youth Council, and we also we created a fake policy, and the policy was for Indigenous services and create an online portal, and that was a really interesting topic for us.
The program is available to any youth located in the Thunder Bay Superior North riding. Ella Pila and Keaton Cristofaro are co-presidents of Hammarskjöld Student Activities Council. They're both interested in the program and hope to gain more experience.
We are SAC co-presidents here at Hammarskjöld, so we have lots of leadership experience from that, but we'd like to gain more, so we're very interested in applying.
Also, we're law students, so I think seeing that political view is just interesting to us. Also, bringing our own issues up to the federal government is super cool.
Youth that are interested can apply by visiting pattyhaidu.ca or by going on our Facebook or Instagram page. Applications will be accepted until November 1st. Jessa Clement, TBT News.
The 5th Annual Senior of the Year Award was presented this morning by Age Friendly Thunder Bay to recognize a senior citizen who has made outstanding volunteer contributions to the community. The recipient this year was Deborah Escott. She was honored at the Da Vinci Center for her years of involvement on multiple boards of volunteer organizations. Her contributions include 20 years as fundraising director of United Way Thunder Bay, 6 years as a Red Cross volunteer driver, and 17 years at Hospice Northwest. The award is named after longtime city councillor Rebecca Johnson, who is retiring from politics, and she greatly appreciates Escott's long resume of service to the community.
This is an extreme honor, and I'm extremely happy to be receiving this. It was totally unexpected. I feel that I'm a very, very fortunate person, and when you're a fortunate person, it feels good to share what you've got with other people.
Whether it's been at committee level, whether it's been with the community, whether it's been at their board level. And then, as I said, the work that she has done with the United Way is extensive as well. And then there's other areas that she's worked in the community. So she's well deserving of the award this year.
Well, congratulations to this year's winner for a job well done. Well, Mitch, this is our prize, I suppose. We should all be congratulated for today's glorious temperatures. We're back to those summer-like conditions.
And I hope it stays a lot longer. It doesn't look like it is, but today was absolutely beautiful. It was a little cooler in the morning, down to a low of -2. You could see some frost, maybe just some condensation, depending on when you woke up. But the temperature all the way up to 20, definitely above average. The wind sitting around 20 kilometers an hour, and that mainly sunny skies made it a beautiful day today. And make sure you enjoyed it because the rest of the week not looking so good. Before we get to that, though, the rest of the region today also very nice. Fort Frances currently 24 with plenty of sunshine. They saw sun throughout the day. Could see some rain heading into tonight. While as we head farther northwest, similar conditions, 21 in Red Lake, 21 in Pickle Lake, a little bit of cloud coverage. They also could see some rain, but today was a very nice day over in the northwest. While northeast, a little cooler in Armstrong, down to 19. Similar conditions in Greenstone. They saw a little more cloud coverage today, but all considering still above temperature weather here in the region. While heading east, a little cooler in Marathon, Sault Ste. Marie down to 18. They saw a little bit of rain this morning, but that has cleared up. Mostly clear skies at the moment. Now, tonight, the temperature isn't going to drop too much, only down to 8, but those thunderstorms are expected to make their way in. They're not 100%, so we could just see some rain heading through the rest of the night. The wind, though, is going to pick up to around 33 kilometers an hour, but the rain is not the worst of it. There is plenty of snow. Hopefully not, but there is snow on the forecast. We'll have more on that in just a little bit.
Couldn't just talk about the sunshine. Now you had to end it off on a bad note for us. Thanks a lot, Mitch. Well, you knew it had to happen at some point, and there are major changes at Hockey Canada. Its CEO and all remaining board members have now resigned. We'll have all the details as your Tuesday News Hour continues.
This took way too long, and they dug in their heels far too deep, and there was probably more victims in the meantime.